Hey, Econ Kids, we're knocking out all the elasticities today. So, the last one, Mod 47, just talked about elasticity of demand. And today, as you're looking at Mod 48, it'll be the other elasticities that go with it. The beauty of elasticity is once you know it, you just apply it to everything that we're doing. So, if you know elasticity of demand and you kind of have that one down and can figure it out, the rest of these elasticities are pretty easy. So, a couple of them here. You're going to have cross price elasticity, income elasticity, and the elasticity of supply. As you look at cross price, what's going to happen in a cross price elasticity scenario? Instead of taking that Q2 or percent change in quantity divided by percent change in price, you are going to do that, except this time what you're going to do is you're going to take the percent change in the quantity of one good divided by the percent change in the price of another good. So like two different goods. We have good X and good Y. In this case, we don't drop the negative sign. So the absolute value is gone, right? That is just for demand. The other ones, we keep that absolute value off of there so that we can see that negative number. Sometimes that'll tell us something about the good. So in this case, as we look at these particular goods, the cross price elasticity ones, if we get a positive number, then those goods are going to be substitutes for each other. So good X and good Y might be something that is like a good substitute. Like if I'm doing pork chops to hamburgers or something like that. Like, oh yeah, it doesn't matter. I'm going for beef or pork today, or pork or chicken or something. Like those things, maybe I'll substitute for each other. If the number is negative, what you're going to find is those two goods are complementary goods. Okay, so those two goods go together. Now we're talking, the peanut butter jelly, nacho chips, nacho cheese. So as you look at it, those two things that get purchased, that would be complementary goods. Those are a negative number. So when you look at this one here, cross price elasticity, it says, if X is Nike and Y is Adidas, then we're going to put these things together and we're going to see that, oh, if the price of Nike shoes increases 2%, what's going to happen? The quantity demanded for Adidas shoes increases 4%. So I have a positive number and a positive number, and I get a positive number as a result. So when I see that, I can see that those two goods are substitutes for each other, right? Oh, the price of Nikes went up, then what's going to happen? I bought more Adidas. So I switch over from, I'm not getting the Air Maxes, I'm getting the Boosts. That's what happens when the price is too high. If the cross price is a negative number, right? So this one, the price of gasoline increased by 20%, then the quantity demanded for large SUVs decreases by 5. When you see that word decrease in the stem of a question, that's a negative number, right? So in this case, I had negative 5% divided by 20%, I get 0.25. If that's the case here, it's a negative 0.25, that negative number tells me those two goods go together. So when gasoline moves in price, maybe the cost of or quantity of big trucks maybe changes. That happened to my neighbor when the price of gas hit $4 a gallon. He went out and you'd think he would have bought a Prius or something like that. Instead, he bought a Tahoe because nobody wanted them and the price came down, and he bought a car that actually had more gas guzzling, if you will. Income elasticity. So your income elasticity, what you're looking at here is instead of having supply or a demand for this particular good in terms of quantity and price, instead of having price, you have income. So you take percent change in quantity divided by percent change in income. When you have more money, what's going to happen? In this case, when we have goods, positive numbers equal normal goods, negative numbers equal inferior goods. So you're going to have to keep all these straight. There's a sweet, sweet chart in your textbook. I think it's on page 480 of your textbook. It is probably the best piece of paper ever because it shows you every single one of these elasticities and what it all means. So that's a good one to have in the text. Here you got supply. So the price elasticity of supply. Now again, supply curve, the same exact way as you do a demand curve, right? It's percent change in quantity divided by percent change in price, except in this case, when we do this, you have a supply curve that looks more like this, okay? There would be an inelastic supply curve. Or you have a supply curve that looks like this, more of an elastic looking supply curve. So as you look at that, Same concept, supply. Supply is considered elastic if you're looking at, greater than one. If you're looking at less than one, it's going to be something like inelastic. And then if you look at the one equal, it's going to be unit elastic. Okay. Now, as you look at what causes this to happen, and this is a little different than what causes, we just look at, in terms of demand, are there good substitutes, etc. In terms of supply, availability of an input. So you're a supplier. It means you have to use something to make your good. So what are you going to make? Well, if you're using oil, you're using steel, you're using some sort of an input to make it, if that becomes difficult to achieve, right? If it's hard to get that input, no matter what price you could get for your good, if you can't get the input, it doesn't matter. You could see a huge change in price. You're not going to produce any more quantity because you can't get the input. Labor in this case is a really good one, because if you think about labor, if you can't get a person to provide the good or service, even though that price might be jacked way up, like you don't have enough people physically to do the work, so you can't supply more. If you think about, well, there's lots of people out there right now, even the trades overall. Like if you try to, like a plumber, you can jack the price up on plumbing, but if there's no plumbers, it doesn't matter, right? You can't supply more quantity because there's no plumbers to send out to do any plumbing. So that's happening right now because we just don't have enough people in the trade industries. So that's one. If you could have an input and get it in easy, if it's really easy to get that input, in this case, you're going to supply more quantity when the price goes up. I always like to think of, the t-shirt industry when your team goes on to the next level of whatever it is. Oh, we're going to state. Well, it doesn't, if you can get a little bit more for a t-shirt, they're going to supply a whole bunch of t-shirts. Because what does it take? It's got, you have all the white t-shirts sitting over there. You got your little t-shirt press. You throw the logo on there and you're like, psh, 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 team to state, right? So you get a little bit more for that good here, little bit of price, and you're going to jam out a whole bunch of quantity because those inputs are easy to get. It's easy to get cotton t-shirts, easy to get a printing thing, and then, you print up the shirts, you sell them, and you sell a whole bunch of quantity. That's availability of inputs. The other one for this one would be time. Sometimes if you can't do it, right? If you can't get the time, like it takes too long to make your good, something like that, you're looking at an inelastic supply curve, right? If you're stuck with one of the variables, you can't change it. Think about on the bottom there, it says agriculture and planting seasons. If you planted corn, then you're kind of stuck. Your land has corn, right? That's your fixed sort of variable here. All of a sudden, if soybeans goes way up in price, well, guess what? I can't grow soybeans. I just planted corn, right? Now, could you, plow up some of the corn quick and try to plant some soybeans because you saw the price go up? Maybe, but it's going to be super hard to do that. Odds are you're not going to be able to do that, right? Now, if it's easy for you to flip over and do something different, and the price goes up and you can easily change, then your supply is going to look more elastic. So if you're a factory person and you can make something off the line and you could make t-shirts or sweatshirts or something like that, then, well, just switch. Because now a little price increase, well, we're switching over, making sweatshirts now, guys, here you go. Put some sleeves on them. So as you look at time, it depends how long it takes you to switch over all your variables. Again, if something's fixed, you're kind of stuck. If it's easily changeable, it's easier to do. That would be Mod 48. So now you have all the elasticities down. That one was too quick, right? You're going to have to go back and look at all those elasticities mean. Again, in your textbook, there's a really good page that has a chart that has all of them on there for you. That's something that you're going to have to know. The AP people love throwing elasticity on a test. It usually isn't a main portion of the question, but it's like part of a question. So if there's the big question that you're looking at, the last part's going to be like, oh, is this good elastic or inelastic or something like that. So you got to know your elasticity. It's always on there. Till next time.